chance. They were born in bloody circumstance. To go, leave me, run like you've never run before. A voice from the underground, given room to breathe, not but be drowned. So die if you get the chance. Better men than you've been, let this dance. To go, leave me, run like you've never run before. I have seen the worst, and there is nothing left for me to hate, so I can lay me down, my brothers, on the ground. I bled today until Coyote comes to raise me up and carries me away. To go, leave me, run like you never did. No, believe me, run like you've never run before.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to the Scottish Rugby podcast. Live Friday Night Lights tonight. I'm very excited about this. This is the first time we've done a Friday night in a long time. Thank you to the guys that are joining us during the New Zealand-Argentina game at the moment. We will not give away spoilers in terms of the result. Or should we do it? Should we do it like Sky Sports style, where we cut to Ian Hay and we go, Ian, I don't know. Did it?
There's been a try. I was watching Sky Sports.
It just has as well.
when that happened, that Chris Kamara incident, I was watching it live. Just that Saturday goals thing.
Magnificent stuff, isn't it?
I know. He's like, what?
We're live on a Friday night, Ian. We're a little bit loose tonight, so it's going to be interesting. We're joined by Ian Hay. Ian, welcome. I might as well introduce you just now.
Hi.
I should also say, Ian Hay. There's facts about all the guests tonight. It's important for me to introduce this, but Ian Hay has won the same number of Rugby World Cup quarterfinals as Jonny Sexton.
Record I'm very proud of.
Just to really, really emphasise that for you, and that's a brilliant record you've got there. Really important.
Yep. Yeah, I'd like to thank my family and all the support everyone's given me, especially you guys. You guys have been like a rock for me. So thank you.
Well,
paying your dues.
We've been something for you anyway. We are also joined tonight, looking resplendent in his Scotland shirt, Rory Baldwin. Welcome, Rory.
Evening all. How are we? Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you grand. Yeah, you've got the professional setup. Obviously, the audio tech stuff kicking in. You're well set up there.
But I've heard that sorry to interrupt, but was that perhaps a Rugby World Cup? The boxes, the special box with thinking that apparently GD Sports are selling them for 70 quid now. And how much were they? Were they not like 160 or something?
Wow.
What was that, like a box of
£170.
swag or something?
No, it was
Yeah,
a
it
it
was
was a Rugby World Cup Scotland shirt and a special cartoon book about our
All right.
heroes.
Like
Was
an
Jared
NFT,
Butler
but
in the
real.
cartoon?
With
Sorry?
Drew McIntyre.
Was Jared Butler in the cartoon? Because if he wasn't, I've got nothing to say about this cartoon.
I tell you, he's the man.
Is it even a
Yeah.
cartoon if Jared Butler's not in it?
Oh, well, exactly. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. But this is where Cammy and Jonny are going wrong with our Bluey chat. Like, is Jared Butler in Bluey? No.
No.
If he was in it, would it be better? Aye.
But he is going to film a Scotland World Cup film called "The Unicorn Has Fallen."
The unicorn has shot itself in the foot again.
Once again. Now, interesting stat about Rory Baldwin. Rory has also won the same number of World Cup quarterfinals as Peter O'Mahony. So well done, Rory, on that one.
I've not
The
got,
real-
and I've done it in fewer caps as well.
This is it. This is it. It's all about that. It's that cap to win ratio, isn't it? So it's a good effort.
They're also
an
going to
athlete.
love the way you pronounce that, John.
I know
The
it was very
O'Mahony.
insulting. O'Mahony. I'm never sure.
I've got a pronunciation for his name, but I'll have to do that in the Patreon.
That's Patreon only, bud. That's Patreon only. Yes, you'll have heard the dulcet tones of Craig Manson is also with us tonight. Craig, drinking prop juice, as Ian has called it.
Absolutely.
Welcome, Craig. How are
Nice to
you,
be
mate?
here. Nice to be here after a week of relaxing and having a week off of not doing very much, I have to say, just flitting around the countryside, enjoying myself, and preparing the water wings and all the different things that we needed in this side of the country.
Well, yes, of course you are. I drove away from your side of the country this morning, and to say it was wild when I left was quite fair. How is Storm Babette hitting you, Craig? Are you surviving?
We're actually all right. Fife is not too bad. It's we've had little bit of flooding, quite a lot of trees down and things like that. But my heart and best wishes go out to everyone in Angus and Aberdeenshire. They are suffering just now. I know that, for example, my company that's based up there is that their doors are shut and everyone's working from home because. And actually, a shout out to a young lady called Kimmy who works in our office, and she's a part-time firefighter, and she's been out for the last 2 days helping rescue people around Beacon and the surrounding area. So, here's to them.
See, absolutely 100% now. I feel who's sneezing in the background?
Bless you.
Rona.
Is that Rhoda? That is some
It
sneeze.
was.
Holy moly! Like
She
that.
knows-
that
oh
is
man, you
massive.
need to hear me sneeze.
You better pray that I never sneeze on the podcast. It would take up like 5 minutes of airtime, and you'd have to stop because you'd be laughing too much.
Well, bearing in mind I'm an old man, so I sneeze from both ends, so that's a different story.
Now, so it's important, obviously, to give Craig his stat as well. So, Craig, I believe you've won the same number of quarterfinals as Keith Earls, yeah?
Yes, and again, as Rory has stated before, with less caps.
With less caps, exactly.
Yes.
So Keith Earls bleating about, one of the greatest of all time. I would say Craig Manson, you're one of the greatest of all time.
Well,
Based
I
on
can
that
swim it
record.
straight, that's for
Certainly.
sure.
In this parish, aye.
Anyway, that's our little dig. I'm sure there'll be more digs at the Irish, let's be honest. After some of the shenanigans that have happened online over the last wee while. It turns out the World Cup is just an excuse for xenophobia to really take hold and for us all to become nationalist lunatics and abuse each other, which #rugby values, that's not really a thing. Tonight we're going to have a wee look at, obviously we've got the WXV2, which sounds maybe like a variant of COVID, but we've got that to talk about. We've got the URC is back. That sneaked up on us like like nobody's business has just like arrived. Nobody actually expected it to turn up at any point, but it turns out it has. And we'll obviously have a wee reflection on the quarterfinals of the World Cup, and maybe just have a wee look at the outcomes for the semi-finals, one of which is fairly sorted just now. Let's be honest. Spoiler alert: if you're watching and you don't, if you're watching and you don't want to hear the result,
Look away now.
I'm like 2 minutes behind, but it's pretty.
yeah,
Yes, conclusive already.
If you're watching, if you're watching and you don't want to hear the result, why are you watching? Because this is available. This is available on demand with absolutely no.
Yeah, there are currently
consequences,
7 people watching it. I think
Yeah.
so. I think
Whereas
we're
the
going to
whole
be
of
all right.
Twitter is going to tell you the score of the New Zealand game in about 20 minutes.
yeah, which is
So
which is
you're
quite,
doing it back to
quite-
front.
Oh,
But bless you if you are watching.
What we've also decided tonight, we're on the path for sponsorship tonight. We've decided,
Yep.
tonight is the night that we are starting lobbying
Oh, wait.
the sponsors out there. That's the wrong way, Rory. There you go.
I
That's the one.
can't drink it the right way, right? Or I'll just pour beer all over my keyboard.
Sponsors, if Williams Brothers want to contact us, Rory's obviously sporting a very tasty Williams Brothers there.
Yep.
That he will learn to drink the right way around if you so desire.
I'll drink it that way.
Yeah, it'll be like. I'm currently rocking a Harveston Schahalian, which is rather tasty. Obviously, great brewery, great local brewery. It'd be really good if they got in touch.
We're on the craft beer sponsorship path this evening.
I would say they are they're
bunch of
bitter and
corporate
twisted.
shills.
they're bitter and twisted is one of my favourites.
Yeah, just like Scottish Rugby fans.
Oh, I set them up. You knock them down, John. There we go.
Ian, have you poured yourself a beverage yet, son? Are you?
But we're vodka, and Rona likes the vodka, so I'm on the vodka and dry. Not like
Then
that.
you do what you're told.
Yeah. So vodka and Diet Coke in a Johnny Gray cup.
Nice. So if Johnny Gray or Glenn's Vodka want to sponsor us,
No.
get in contact.
Glenn's, come
The
on.
exciting vodka.
Anyone from Mad Dog 2020 wants to sponsor us.
That IMD 2020. I remember I used to play with a prop at Butte, and I'll not name him, but he does listen to the podcast. And he used to drink a bottle of Mad Dog before a game.
Oh man.
And I'm not sure that's like allowed or healthy, but he had some
It's
great
going to
Scrooge
dehydrate
games.
you. Oh yeah, give you that drunk anger.
He was a massive
Drunk
big voice. One saw him, we were playing on the main pitch at Scotstoun, and it was the Ospreys were actually there for a training session, so they ended up watching us. We were playing against Hindland, and the lad in question took the ball in and he went for a carry, and he just let out this visceral roar. Like, he wasn't going anywhere. He wasn't running very fast, but he just let out this almighty roar and let the whole stadium know that he was carrying. And then I think he got decked and turned over. He probably knocked on in the tackle, to be honest. But because of the Mad Dog, because he was drunk. The things you do at local rugby level. Let's talk about the WXV2. So Scotland...
Whoa, what about my chance of sponsorship?
Oh, sorry.
Big T, classic.
Oh, yeah, of course. Sorry, Craig. I thought the fact you were waving it in front of people, but obviously this is an audio podcast, so you have to tell us about it. Craig, who are you being sponsored by tonight?
Well, I have found a local small craft brewery to drink their particular tipple. They have one very special product that I really quite enjoy.
I think the Italians love it as well.
The Italians really do love it. The Italians think it is a
That's my
craft
takeaway
beer.
here.
And I really do think that we should be either support and also be supported by this cottage industry. The Great Tenants lager.
Tenants Brewery. It's a rubbish name. I don't think it will stick.
I don't know if it'll stick.
It is mad though. I mean, we get loads of tourists up here, and the amount of like obvious tourists that are buying like crates of Tenants because it's the local beer and they want something while they're on holiday in Scotland that epitomizes Scottish drinking, which it does, I suppose.
It's cheap and it gets you drunk.
It
Yippee.
accounts for quite a significant intake of Scottish lager, though. Like, it is a
I'm sure, aye.
huge market share.
The thing is, it's like I had this argument with Johnny McGinty. Johnny
That
took us
does
route.
it. Wow, really?
Well, us,
Did you?
me and Johnny McGinty argue never.
Never.
And we were out at this. I think it was a South African game, Scotland South Africa, and pardon me, he took us along for dinner at Innocent Gun.
Yep.
And I have to say, I'm not a fan of the craft beers that try to turn your mouth inside out with dryness. So Schiehallien's not that bad, actually. But I have to say, most of the things that he pointed at and says you should try that on the wall at Innocent Gun made me. Sorry, we're trying to get sponsorship. Were delicious, and we really enjoyed them. But I do like. I have to say, when I finished a game of rugby or it's a warm day, etc., I do like a very, very cold pint of Tenants. I don't mind
a nice cold Tenants after a bit of hard work. I agree with Craig. There is very little beats it.
You don't have to think about drinking it. You just drink it.
You just go scoop down, done, move on to something tasty.
It's the opposite of the thinking man's drink. It's the unthinking man's drink.
It's the unthinking man's
get it down you.
And believe me, it fits me to a T.
Hashtag prop juice.
Absolutely.
Right, let's go on and talk about the WXP2. So obviously Scotland in action today, Craig, against none other than David Lawrence's USA. He declined the opportunity. He gave some nonsense excuse about work or some nonsense.
Apparently, there's some sort of time difference between here and the great metropolis that is Boston and Massachusetts.
I have never seen that time difference. That doesn't exist. That's
absolutely. I think that's I think it's a fraud brought upon the people. And I think if I don't say it, if mind you, they might indict me if I bring up the fraud that's been brought on the American people of a time.
Well, there you go. Yeah. Yeah. No. David actually refused to come on the podcast because he is, I quote, working to defend the US ladies. But Scotland's performance, Craig. Let's get serious. Talk some rugby for a second. The performance, certainly in that first 20 minutes, that's as good as Scotland women have played for me in the last 3 years. That first 20 minutes was unbelievable.
Yeah, they are looking more and more impressive now. It's amazing. Who would have thought it that if we actually pay our athletes and make them only think about rugby and not have to worry about working or earning money or getting we've gone over it and over it. I'm sorry.
Who'd have thought it? Who would have thought it, Craig?
Who'd have thought it that they would get better? And everything from we're the kicking from hand is looking really good. The passing is looking 10 times better, quicker, not as ponderous. We're getting it to hand. The accuracy's up as well. The some of the forward runs were absolutely thundering, and there were big collisions in there as well. So for the first 20 minutes, Scotland looked, were straight away they're 17-0 up, and they were looking, the commentators were starting to talk about the US Eagles not even getting out of their own half in the first half of the game, And
I'll just come off mute because I was loving your soliloquy there, Craig.
Easy for you.
Yeah. It's not easy for me to say after some Schiehallion. That's a good reason to get in there, guys. I'm going to send them the video of this afterwards. You're absolutely right. So, Craig, the first 20 minutes, absolutely brilliant. For me, Rory, I'll come to you next. Like the next 60, right? So that was the arm wrestle we probably expected.
Yeah.
With the USA. And whilst they've come out on top in the scoreboard over the next 60, Scotland looked very comfortable at that level.
Yeah, I mean they didn't have it all their own way. Certainly, started the second half, USA came out, fired heavily. They were putting a lot more kind of big carries in, and it suddenly the physicality went up a bit. I think But yeah, I mean, Scotland, obviously they had a big cushion that kind of excellent spell at the start gave them, but they didn't really look too troubled. Certainly large, elements of their bench are extremely helpful. Having Jade Conkle coming off the bench is a boost. It's kind of it's almost like a sort of bomb squad thing. You're bringing top level professional players off the bench, and it's keeping your level up. There's not a drop. I mean, we've seen it before at kind of women's level, at under 20s level. The depth, the drop off once you go to your bench is where we tend to lose kind of Six Nations games and things like that. And to be honest, it was the problem with the national team for long enough as well. And yeah, when you play South Africa or Ireland, you experience it. But yeah, I think the bench made a difference. And yeah, I mean, the changes Craig was talking about in terms of the handling and the passing and stuff, that's even since last week, not just, since the Six Nations earlier in the year. Since last week, things look like they've improved. So again, from what he was saying, not only do you give the players a chance to focus on their rugby, but if you give them time together, it's obviously making a difference as well.
I'll come at you next, Ian. So the Scotland, Scottish rugby as a whole has been talking about, this attacking blueprint that they're putting through, the Scotland way, the way that we were trying to play rugby throughout all the age grades, and that, is now being seen back again with the male national team after Townsend decided to go pure AC Milan mode for like a couple of years and pure defensive, let Chris Harris loose. This women's team, for me, and I appreciate you've not seen the game, not seen the game yet, but you'll go away and you'll watch some highlights. This women's team for me is one of the most lethal back threes I've ever seen in Scottish rugby. I mean, you've seen a lot more of them, so you can comment on some of the players that are in there.
Well, one thing that I was thinking while I was away there, dealing with my takeaway, sorry for disappearing, folks.
That is Friday night patter right there, and I'm all in for it, Ian. Yes, please.
What I was thinking was that they've all, we've seen the core of this group really evolve through, getting professional contracts and now, this extra training time. I mean, because USA are ahead of us in the rankings, aren't they? They're 7th, I believe, and we're 10th. In particular, of the back threes, Rona Lloyd is one of my favourite Scottish wingers of all time. I mean, she goes from 0 to rapid and off in about 1.5 seconds. It's you give her any room, she's away. Chloe Rowley as well. I mean, I think a few times. I mean, one of the big things I think is a difference is not only sort of the conditioning and all that full pros get. It's the analysis sessions. Really learning defensive systems and your own position and, what's the best thing to do here. Learning the percentage games, what's the best coverage thing. Because sometimes, I've looked at Chloe Rowley in particular. There was a game against France. I thought she'd made a couple that I saw live, and I was like, oh, she's, screwed the pooch there. But she's getting better and better, and she's a lethal finisher, incredible stepper. And now, we've got Fran McGee, who looks like a real prospect on the other wing. Before that, you had Gaffney, who is pretty good, but I think Lloyd is an incredible winger. And then, sort of inside of there as well, I think Lisa Thompson in particular, she seems to have been around forever, but she's only about 23. And we've really seen her develop as a player, I feel.
And looking at, obviously, the backs, classic rugby union chat here, Craig Manson, you're going to absolutely love me for this, but the backs obviously are getting all the plaudits after the result today. The scintillating tries, the wonderful interplay from the backs. But I watched a lot of the forwards and the incredible amount of work they went through. That forward pack's not to be messed with. They're a good bunch of players, eh?
Really are. We've got a front row that are strong. not only are the props doing their job incredibly well, but the scrum we were putting a lot of pressure on the USA, and when it came to scrum time. We also got Lana Skelton, who's just like
good.
Phenomenal player.
like
Great game today.
yeah, she's working hard in the set piece, but then she's stealing lineouts. She's also in the loose, just absolutely phenomenal as well, breaking tackles. And then you've got Evie Gallagher getting player of the match, making, and I'm going to say this, looking like she's earned that number 8 shirt over someone who we would say was in fact, I think she was our first professional anyway, Jade Conkle-Roberts.
An icon.
An absolute icon of the Scottish women's game, and Evie Gallagher is keeping her from the starting slot. And I know that Jade is coming back from injury, and she's had a huge what's the word? A huge journey to have taken to get back to fitness. But Evie's taking her opportunity, and she's keeping a hold of that shirt, and she's doing a great job. So I really, all we need to do now is double down on the accuracy, not go to sleep at 20 minutes, or I think they got the feeling that this game was theirs, so they kind of took the foot off the gas, and that's when the USA came back and bit them. So it'll be interesting to see how they do. I would like to see them win WXV2. I think they've got the opportunity to do that. So we just have to see how we get along, and hopefully we'll be up to WXV1 next time.
Next time the WXV happens, which we will not know until about 3 minutes before it happens. Rory, it was a very interesting point Craig made about strength and depth, and obviously Evie Gallagher taking the number 8 shirt from Conco. I think it's really telling, and I'll get your take on this, that a lot of these players look like it looks much more like a squad, and not individual players who are maybe playing at a higher level with people who best well in the world are playing at amateur level.
Yeah, I think the number of them playing in the Premiership and stuff is really helping, and just the time they've spent together, between the warm up game with Spain and now, it's obviously showing. They're growing as a squad, they're improving, and I mean, as the guys alluded to earlier, look at the age of them. Fran McGee is like 20. Evie Gallagher is 23.
Yeah.
So I mean, this squad could be getting another 2 World Cup cycles if we, given a bit of luck and not too many injuries. I mean, like Meryl Smith coming off the bench, she's really impressed me in the warm up when she was playing in the centre, but she's coming off the bench to fill in at 10, and she looks to have she's a little bit more kind of got that Finn Russell crazy in her than Helen. But she's 22, so yeah, there's a core of a squad there, and obviously they need to learn as much as they can from the girls that have been on the 7 circuit and being professionals for a lot longer, because obviously that's all quite new to them.
That was one thing that was noticeable today, Craig. The sevens impact. Like we've talked. Obviously, Scotland have, because of the GB7, Scotland have had players who have not been available for them in fixtures in the past, and this has hampered Scotland. The sevens impact today for me, the amount of, you see that individual talent that comes from playing sevens. I think we benefited greatly from that today.
Yes, and I think it's. But how can I put it? You see it as well in the men's game. Sevens will bring on a player that's maybe on the edge of gaining a Scotland cap, and they go away and they travel with the sevens system, and they learn quite a lot from that, and it brings them on. George Horn is one of the ones that I'm thinking of, but it's also especially GB7s have taken a couple of players away from the Scotland setup, and it's made them better players. And I think that's, I've seen a couple of comments on message boards and different forums saying it's a real shame that for all the players that have been in camp and they get gazumped by the two players coming in from the sevens. And it's like, well, hang on a minute, GB7s is developing them. They're going out there for a reason, and they're actually making them a better player. And the Scotland team are being more are a better place, a better team for them. So sevens has got its place, and it's disappointing that we don't have a Scotland sevens set up anymore.
Yes.
But and I think we will rue the day that we've lost that.
100%. So one more fixture, guys, in the WXB2, Scotland Japan. That's a tough game, Ian. But Japan they've lost their first game against Italy. They've got a game to go before they play Scotland. That's a game Scotland can win, surely.
I would think so. I mean, fair enough. I don't see a lot of Japan women play international rugby often. But I remember the first game that I covered, I think, for blog Women's International was against Japan.
Yeah, the Scotland Japan.
And at that stage,
right,
yeah, and it was the same core squad, but 5 years ago, a lot of unprofessionalism ago, and we
From
were,
you, Ian, you mean?
Absolutely not. Well, I'm still unprofessional. Yeah, because it was a blog thing. I'm still unprofessional. I don't have any journalistic qualifications at all. I'm blagging it. I'm a grifter, all right?
A grafter.
But I remember that game,
grafter.
bit of both. But I remember that game, Japan had dominated the set piece, and that's how they won. And it was the same when we played Wales about a couple of weeks later, I think. Wales would, even if they were playing with advantage, they would just be like, "Oh no, I appear to have knocked on. Can I have a scrum, please?" But that game against Japan, it was Hannah Smith looked like the only one who was going to cause any bother. She was making line breaks, but there was nobody on the shoulder. Now it's a far more cohesive unit. The set piece is stronger. I think Belial's made a massive difference. What an absolute baller she is. Skeldon has come on leaps and bounds. She was always good. Am I right in thinking she was semi-retired, injured for a while, or a year or two? Thankfully back. And Emma Wassell is just workhorse. Has always been good. And now that she's now in a pro setup and they've had more time together, you've seen what an absolutely outstanding athlete she is. So we have a lot to look forward to. I've kind of drifted off the point. What was the first question? This happens.
Friday night lights here, boys and girls. Yeah. Friday night lights. We can beat Japan, Ian. That's the point.
Oh yeah, aye. Yes, because I like the core of that team were playing back then, and it was close. Now we're far more professional. Systems are better, defensively much better. And given the first two results, obviously I've only seen brief highlights of the Springboks game. I've not had time to watch the whole thing, and I was working today, so I've not seen any of the USA game. But positive signs from the results alone suggest that we can beat Japan.
So fingers, Craig. You look like you want to come in, or are you just supping on your tenants?
Sorry, I was just replenishing my craft tenants glass. Sorry, I forgot to say. I was going to say I was on mute. Stupid me. So that you didn't hear me opening my handcrafted alloy receptacle of
Yes.
That make it all poetic? It didn't work.
Denison's finest there, you've got.
Denison, yeah, absolutely. The craftsmanship of Denison
I
going
think Jenny
into the
Butler's
receptacle.
he's written a poem about this, surely, hasn't
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
he? Oh, Jeniston.
What I was trying to say was basically, and I think I've just meandered off the point and forgotten what I was going to say.
Just like you.
For me, I just think those two games, South Africa and the USA, we would be on borderline losing those games 2 years ago, and we were borderline dominating those games today, and last week. So I think it's a plus point, and I think Brian Easton's done a fair job getting everyone together, and obviously Matt Banahan. Do you think Matt Banahan's had a hand in all of that? You just don't know, do you? Because he's only been there a small amount of time. What I will say, and I have got one negative, and I am a little bit angry.
Is it because I told her she should be kicking her goals?
No, because she should be kicking her goals. But what I would say is that her kicking from hand and the strategic kicking has become far better.
Yep.
Three players came on at 80 minutes and 24 seconds.
Oh.
They emptied the bench at 80 minutes and 24 seconds with three players. They came on. They went for it was a penalty. They went for the corner, and the corner kick, the kick to the corner was missed, and it went into the dead ball. And it's like,
that's peak Scotland, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm sorry, but it wasn't that close a match to be worrying about. If you've got people on the bench that you're not all that sure they should be making a debut or whatever, it wasn't that close a match. And I also think, sending players on for cap for 30 seconds. It's just a waste of time, and I was disappointed.
It was the same bench as last week, anyway, wasn't it?
Yeah,
did all right then. So.
Yeah. So.
I actually noticed that a lot with Eason, that even front rows he'll keep on for 80 minutes. Like Muzambi, is it Panache or Tanashi? Can't remember what her first name is. She's been on the bench a few times when I've been at games, and she's never got on. It's like, dude, there's front rows blowing a gasket over there.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I think you'll find as the condition, almost as conditioning improves, it's kind of a bit of a weird backwards thing that actually as front row conditioning improves, the necessity to use the bench will increase, because the folk, they'll get bigger, they'll get stronger. With that comes, yes, we see props doing 80-minute stints, but ultimately they're there to do a 60-minute job, really.
What I cannot believe is that Xander Fagerson is starting for Glasgow on Sunday.
Yeah. But he is so fit. Like, to be fair to him, he is so
fit. Fit in what way, John?
Well, he's a handsome boy, Craig. Let's be fair. No, I mean, he is. He sings like an angel. He sings like an angel. He's
the full package here.
Downhill mountain bikes like I don't know, a demon.
Man. This is the age of the props. You've got to understand it. This is the age of the props.
No, the thing is, Xander's an 80-minute prop. Xander can go 80 minutes if you ask him to.
But you shouldn't have to in an ideal world.
Yeah, and so can Schumann as well. That's the thing.
But you wouldn't ask them to do that.
They're becoming fitter and fit. Yeah, but they're 80 minutes against Chile, or they're 80 minutes against Romania. They're no 80 minutes against South Africa.
Or Leinster.
A wet pitch,
Yeah.
We'll find out.
Leinster during a storm. Yeah, okay. Yeah,
Aye, we'll wait and see, yeah.
Plastic pitch, but so it's fine.
Yeah, because the water doesn't lie on it and make them slip everywhere. It's fine. Yeah, totally.
Well, different.
Well, that's brought us nicely onto Will Jordan scoring about 100 tries for New Zealand tonight. By the way,
I can't believe I triple captained one of the Barretts and not Will Jordan. That was just a stupid thing.
I'm not even sure if I've still got Will Jordan in my team. I gave up quickly.
You probably do. Because
how many? No, let's not do this just now. Let's talk URC while I Google this.
Aye.
Obviously we've touched on the URC. The URC is back. Jay-Z's flagship tournament has returned in the middle of a World Cup. well, I say the middle. Let's say the tail end of a World Cup. Really, Scotland are not that bothered anymore. Neither are
He's up for
Ireland, for
another
that
one.
matter, or are Wales, actually, for that matter. It's only South Africa that really care anymore.
Let's
And
just in, John.
Edinburgh are
Will
missing
Jordan
Buffelli.
Will Jordan just scored again.
that's I know that's I think I might be slightly ahead of you.
All right, yeah, I'm on the STV player, so it's probably is a wee bit behind.
Yeah, no, that's it. Yeah, it's a good try. He's finished well.
So that's someone 800 tries in the last 14
Yeah,
games.
and
we thought
13
Darcy was doing that.
appearances or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the URC is back. An awkward one for them because it's the first year they've done a World Cup, Craig.
Mm.
First time they've considered a World Cup as part of their we'll never clash with internationals, despite the fact we have every year so far.
Maybe they just thought that none of our teams will be in the World Cup when the URC starts. So.
Shouldn't have invited South Africa then, should they?
I mean, the
'Cause I
draw
mean,
was made in Ireland. So they're like, we'll be gassed.
Yeah, but I mean,
Grand.
the draw was made to favour South Africa, wasn't it? Really? So
I think it was made to. Well, yeah, I suppose I thought it was more made to favour Ireland, but
I know. Once Dupont came down with his injury and Ireland failed to see the signs, and South Africa 7-1 them, and went, oh yeah, we're going to play you in this brilliant test match, but actually, oh no, we've missed our goals again. Oh, Razi's shining a traffic light at me. Oh no, we don't want to finish second in the group. Promise. Yeah, like that was 4D chess from Razi, right
Playing
there.
the long con.
Absolute 4D chess. When they beat Scotland, they knew we lose to Ireland, we're still through. So, but yeah, URC's back, Craig. Edinburgh are away this weekend.
Yes, to the metropolis of Gwent or Newport and Gwent. Is it not Newport?
Beautiful Newport.
I tell you, and we're going to go down there. And I've looked at the team sheets, and not only do I not know anyone that's in the Dragons team, I hardly recognise any of the players on the Edinburgh team. So good for me. I've done it.
Well, yeah,
You're not the only one.
To be fair, there's a few Edinburgh players you will recognise.
There is, yes.
I thought you
I was
boys loved Curry at centre.
I was being flippant.
I know.
He's actually not bad. Actually, I have to say, I fully expect Edinburgh to come back up the road with a W. But we will wait and see.
Absolutely, you're playing against a bankrupt Dragons team who are actually crap.
Well, we're probably playing up against boys that have either just come out the academy or they're off to do a night shift after the game.
So
So Edinburgh getting hosed then.
See, funny you should say that, Rory, because the last time Edinburgh went to Wales, they got hosed off the Scarlets 42-14.
Yeah.
Oh, and like we've been doing the Dragons, don't worry, but we've been doing the Dragons and they've been sent back home on the bus with cockers going nuts. So yeah,
I remember. I think it was last year the Dragons game. I had a massive accumulator bet on, and it was the Edinburgh Dragons was the last game to come in, and I had used to win, and it was like the most surefire bet of the weekend. And it was quite a big bet. Like I hadn't put much money on it, but it was a big return. And Edinburgh were like 21 down at half time. And I was absolutely beeling going off, man. He's won the game in the end up. He actually came back and won it. And I was like, that's my boys. But yeah, I was utterly beeling.
What's quite interesting though is
Gamble
actually
responsibly. Absolutely.
if you have a wee look at the unavailable list that they have at the bottom of the Edinburgh team sheet, they've got international rest. So they've got Ashman, Gilchrist, Kinghorn, Mata, Duhan, WP Nell, Schumann, Hamish Watson, etc. Boffelli's away, still getting murdered at the moment, I think. And then they've got unavailable. De Bruin back, Darcy Graham, hip, James Lang, calf, Ben Muncaster, knees, Scott Steele, hip, Nathan Sweeney, hamstring, Tim Sweel, ankle, Jamie Ritchie, shoulder. Now, we knew that Jamie Ritchie had a bit of a knock on the shoulder, but those are players that I don't know if it comes up. First thing we tell people that they're injured, and then if they're not injured, to go international rest maybe. But I didn't realise that Darcy had a hip injury.
He can maybe join my party and we can hop along together.
True. Well, don't worry, we can rebuild you, John.
Exactly. They have the technology.
Yeah. So yeah, it'll be an interesting game. There's some good names on the bench. You got Luke Crosby, Marshall Sykes, etc. on the bench. We've got Healy in at 10, which will be an interesting debut for him. Benji Velicot's back at 9, so that's good. We have the tight head of all tight heads starting in Javan Sebastian. So new signing. So we'll see how he runs out with it. See how the tighter Edinburgh shirt squeezes him into there and see how he goes. And we've got some new people that have been brought in playing as well. So yeah, it will be an interesting game.
I mean, I really hope VP&L hasn't been listening to that. He's the tight head of all tight heads.
Well, I'm actually vomiting in my mouth at the thought of Javan just in general, but like, ugh.
See, the problem you have though, John, is you have Javan Sebastian blinkers on, and when he does it, it's the same with Blair Kinghorn. Whenever they do something good, you don't see it, but whenever they do something bad, it doubles the vision, so you can see every single minute detail, John.
I'm perfectly fine with Blair Kinghorn when he plays in the right position. I'm not so perfectly fine with Javan when he plays in his position.
See, I'm just wondering, I'm just trying to remember. Sorry to interrupt. I used to live right behind Rodney Parade Stadium when I was a student. I'm pretty sure it's flat and there's no stairs, so Dave Cherry should be all right.
Just as long as he stays away from the Grant's vodka, we'll be fine.
Yeah. No.
It's Glenn's now.
No, it's Glenn's now. No supplying him with the
Grant's
Glens.
Fielder.
Grant's Field in HIA. It's Glenn's now.
Glenn's Gilchrist.
Ian, Glasgow are also in action this weekend. First game of the season against it's an easy 5-pointer really, just off the bat.
Oh, a Sextonless Leinster.
A Sextonless Leinster.
Yeah, I believe our first home
That's
game.
the future. Get used to it.
Yeah.
Like he's ever played in the URC anyway.
Like he's ever going to retire either. 100% he's reversing that and coming back this season for the European Cup. 100% Sexton rocks
just so he can swear at referees again.
Aye,
because he's not had his swan song.
Yeah, well, like John Terry just in full kit. He's
4 more years.
Squad.
4 more years.
And
4 more years.
4 more years.
We'll see him.
Lock him up. Lock him up.
Lock him up.
Is that not what Sam Whitelocks allegedly shouted at Jonny Sexton after the
What? Lock him up?
No, I think he said that to O'Mani.
Oh man, yeah, that's Rico Yanni was like, "All right, enjoy the flight home and retirement, Johnny."
4 more years. That is good housery.
The thing is though, 4 more years for Jonny Sexton means only really 6 games, so it doesn't really matter, does it?
And it's duck years, so
yeah, it's duck years.
Would that make it longer, wouldn't it? Anyway, I believe this is the first home game that Glasgow have had in 8 years to begin the URC, and the last one was against Leinster. And I remember I drove up the road very fast from my cousin's wedding to try and make it in time. I didn't. But regardless of that, Tommy Seymour scored 4 tries as Glasgow romped to a glorious win. That's when Tommy was like peak Tommy. Probably the best winger in the Northern Hemisphere.
And didn't look like someone who just wanted, please stop the roundabout, I need to get off. He just looked so tired at the end. He just looked like he needed a hug.
Of course,
it'd be good.
He deserved one.
It would be. I mean, if you're going to try and catch Leinster, surely, because a win over Leinster is valuable currency in the URC, so you want to get it out if you can just
It's like,
nick
even
one
though
early
you're
doors.
sort of looking sort of at the Leinster team like, oh, it's just the Diddy team. Like their Diddy teams usually hammer everyone else.
no
And
bad.
they've got, like Jordan Larmour's in there, and remember he was like going to be the greatest back they've had.
Oh, that guy.
Aye, that guy.
I'm looking at their
Right.
team now, and I've heard of Luke McGrath and Jordan Larmour, and that's it.
Hang on,
And Rhys
Rhys
Ruddock.
is that the
What?
Jordan
Who's
Larmour
this?
who was an Irish-born player, and he was replaced by a player that was born in another country? How dare they?
Absolutely.
How
Sure.
are you? I can't believe.
Do you know what? One tweet in particular I loved when Cammy and Johnny were on the full "Let's wind them up" trail.
The full
Was,
rampage.
The rampage.
This Irish guy was like, "Oh yeah, Scotland, the United Nations of rugby." It's like, you have more residency players than us, right? Let's get over this first. We have the last Six Nations game. They had more residency players than us. This one, they had in the 23. There was the same number of residency players, and they say, and if they're going to moan about sort of parentage, grandparents, they had Finlay Beelum and Mac Hansen, major contributors to their cause, right? So they can't wave that card at us. And we're all fed up of that. Scotland, look at the UN of the rugby. It's like, yeah, right. Half of these, like, so you're trying to say Cameron Redpath shouldn't be allowed to play for Scotland with these Scottish parents who just happened to be born in France because his dad was playing in France at the time. Then grew up in England because his dad was playing in England. So who exactly should he be
And his
playing
dad
for?
used to
Is
play
that
for
captain?
Scotland.
Captain
His
He's
dad
Scotland?
had like
Scotland.
60 caps.
Let's not forget that.
Well, actually,
Come
what
on.
you've got to remember the old back row player, Jock Schumann, as well, who was involved in the Scotland team 20 years ago, and before he moved to South Africa to have his
This is
family.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's important. Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry, like, I'm just sorry, like, why Scottish people just have to go and ride better qualities of rugby player parentage down the line? We're just
Whoa!
We're not there yet.
We're not.
We're
Didn't he
seven minutes away. 7 minutes.
Didn't he give Jim Malander like thoughts of
Ideas.
ideas of how to increase? Right, we've got a new department for Scottish rugby.
it's like the boys from Brazil.
We've got the Scottish
International
Exiles programme.
relations.
Now we're going to have the Scottish breeding programme.
We're going to populate the world with Scottish rugby players, future Scottish rugby players.
Well, there's a ginger just got into the final of the World Cup.
That's... He's one of ours. Don't you? How dare you, Rory? He was taken from us.
Well, funny you should say Rory there. You know, Kyle Stain, his dad Rory, you know, obviously a hard man. You know, the guy who's defending, you know, a
Nelson
personal
Mandela.
security agent of Nelson Mandela.
Yeah,
It's
pretty
like, all right,
badass.
cool.
He was for the West End of Glasgow. He'd just be sitting there going, "Hey, jog on, boy." Anytime anyone comes up to Nelson Mandela.
And beep.
Aye, it would be much harder. Yeah, so the URC is back, and we really clearly don't care. So
Care about it next week once the World
getting
Cup's over.
paid. I'm getting paid to watch telly tomorrow. This is
That's quite good, Ian. Actually,
I'm quite excited. I'm looking
Oh,
forward to it.
Craig, give me your prediction. Come on, please feed
I
me
might
your
actually watch it.
predictions for the year.
Well, I'm going to.
How
Well,
are they
well,
gonna
'cause
do?
let's just say my predictions are well and truly known in this parish, and also on the large continent of North America as well
Yes.
as fairly poor. So I like to spread the. All I need to do now is do a podcast in the southern hemisphere, and I will be round the world as a poor choice.
We'll make that happen, Craig.
As-
I'll
as-
join
as-
you on it for a laugh.
As the Scottish mystic Meg, who honestly, I think Edinburgh will be 8th, and will qualify. Will scrape through or qualify for the Champions Cup.
That's a much more savvy prediction than last year, my friend. Because I had Glasgow 8th last year.
I think Glasgow will be top 2.
Wow, that is you just trying to curse us, and I'll have none of your bad juju.
I've got.
I would agree. I reckon Glasgow got a chance, but I'm not sold on their options at fly half.
No, because the fact that we've went, Moeti leaving, and we've basically said, yeah, but it's okay because we've got Duncan Weir. Pourquoi? Yeah, no.
You know what you guys should have done? You guys should have brought in a guy from Ireland. You should have had a
Manson
10 from Ireland. A 10 from Ireland would have been really, really good for you guys. I don't know. You could maybe have a word and see if Crowley would come over.
Get one of the Byrne brothers. Like, there's millions of them.
Yeah, because they're all up out now, aren't they?
Way! And there's about 18 of them as well. So it's
Absolutely,
fine. We'll find
yeah.
one. Anyway, the URC is back, and we're not that bothered about it. So we'll see what
I
the
am
guys
bothered. Do not.
But there'll be full coverage next week, no doubt.
Absolutely, yeah, it will be.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm being flippant. Of course, we are bothered. It will be on the television over the weekend on Viaplay. Turns out nothing has actually changed.
I'm actually
going to have to see if my old man's still got a subscription.
Yeah, I stopped my direct debit, so I'll have to change it. I'll have to go in and see if I can get it.
I still have a free subscription, I think.
That's it. Get yourselves.
Yeah.
If you don't,
Some
if
of
you're
us
not
are
registered,
because they're like scrapping it, aren't they?
So Viaplay they're scrapping the UK rights. However, they're only going to do that when they can, because they're in contract, so they can't get rid of it. They have to just keep going, or they have to pay a huge amount of money. So, so they'll basically do it till someone else picks it up. BBC Alba, let's go.
Yeah. Hugh Dunn's tired though.
Well, this is true, but how good would Dougie Vipond could just run the whole coverage?
How's your Gaelic?
I reckon I could pick it up quickly enough.
We could be the pundits for the back room.
You'll need 50-50.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah. I could be the colour commentator, and Craig could be the Gaelic.
Oh no! I want to be the one that's interviewed in English, and then I could just hello, microwave. Hello, Craig Manson. Well, actually, what I would like to say is
Craig Manson.
George Horn's having a stormer. That's fantastic.
That was never a penalty to Glasgow. That's nonsense. Nico Matalau is rubbish. Anyway, we will move on. We're going to move on because I think we're all desperate to swear a wee bit. So let's move on to our Patreon thing. Thank you, everybody who's joined us tonight on this silly Friday night. If you've joined us afterwards, listening to a podcast at the weekend, good laugh for you. Hopefully you're walking your dog or, prepping for the next, for South Africa.
Surgery.
Utterly obliterating England. Was that England? Was that England? Was that England? Ian?
No, I said surgery, prepping for the next surgery.
That would be quite cool, wouldn't it?
Hey, listen, yeah. Well, I did.
We have doctors that follow us.
One of my customers did tell me that they listen while they're out in the farm. So it's good to hear that we have people listening, doing lots and lots of many different things.
Yeah. Well, I think some of us are going to enjoy a disco forklift truck by another Scottish brewery whilst we move on to the next section.
Oh, the ones that are just near where Craig's brewery happens to be.
Yes, it is a mango
and we did a scrummaging session with Petrus Duplessis.
Yeah. This fine American hopped mango IPA is very tasty, and I think if you wanted to sponsor us, just saying, guys, would be a good idea.
You would need a forklift truck in a disco to bring it over. Cats at a Rave forklift, they should call it. Cats at a Rave forklift.
They need somebody who's going to make a Cats in the Rave beer. They don't even have to sponsor us, just make it.
No, they do have to sponsor us. They do have to sponsor us.
I mean, it'd be nice if
just give us the beer. That's all.
We will plug it.
let's us make that beer this weekend. It's like half a tin of Tenants, some Mad Dog 2020, and a bit of Bucky.
One of these, a fruity craft beer.
And
with
two
some
two tablespoons of sugar mixed in with it until it
Aye.
dissolves. Nice.
Half a cup of candy, 2 scoops of vanilla. Yeah, if anybody knows where I'm going with that, they know.
Keep singing, John. My pants are coming off.
And now we
Anyway.
go to the Patreon section.
I never
You
said
want
it
to
completely different.
You want to join us for Ian's pants? Ian and
Oh.
Craig's pants. coming off.
Everybody's pants.
Everybody's pants
We'll
are
bring
coming
my
off.
pants in this.
We will
I'm
see you
actually
on
wearing my
Patreon.
Manscaped pants.
It is good night from me. Good night from Ian, Rory, and Craig.
Good
Bye,
night,
all.
folks.
Ciao.
Ciao. Santa
Arrivederci.
goodbye.
Right, we need to have a quiet so we've got a break.